Today I thought I'd go over some brioche basics. This is how I learned brioche, and it will be a little different than maybe some of the tutorials you've seen. I kind of don't know why brioche is complicated by having separate abbreviations for the brioche stitches, because to me they're just all actual knit stitches that we all know how to do. So when I talk through this, I'll be saying the basic stitches, not the whole brioche knit and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that doesn't further confuse you, but this is how you do the stitch, and I'm just going to be talking in basic knit techniques. So first you cast on however you'd like to. Stretchy cast on is best because brioche is very stretchy. Long tail does okay. The Italian cast on is good. I just did a long tail because it's always my go-to. It's an even number of stitches that you need. So I've cast on 24, I believe. And then you'll have to do one setup row, and then from then on, the row just repeats. So this is obviously single color brioche flat. So there are differences for double, two color, three color, and in the round, which I can show you if you're interested. But today we'll go over single color flat. All right, so the first setup row, I'll also try, I'm going to attempt to show English style as well as continental, but you're going to have to bear with me because I am not a good English knitter. So for the setup row, I'll just do continental so I can get through it. Okay. The first major tip with brioche is you 90% of the time want your yarn in front. So you want your working yarn in front. Okay, so with your working yarn in front, you slip the first stitch purlwise. Okay, so I have that slip purlwise with the yarn in front. Then some patterns call for a yarn over here. The way I kind of take that instead is that I just keep the yarn in front and I keep it over here on my needle. So I've slipped this stitch, and here's my yarn that's in front, and I'm just going to kind of pinch it to my needle, and then the next stitch I need to knit. So I have the slipped stitch, I have my working yarn, which is in front, and I've pinched it to my needle, and then I'm just going to go through and knit normally. So what I've done there is, this is the slip stitch, and this is basically a yarn over that I created by just holding the yarn there in the front while bringing it back to the back to knit. And I'll show you this a few more times, as this is the setup row. So the yarn is in back now, since I just did the knit. I want to bring it to the front. I'm going to slip this purlwise. Okay, so that's slipped purlwise. The yarn is still in front, so I'm going to pinch it to my needle. And then knit. The yarn's in back, bring it to the front. Slip purlwise. Pinch to the needle. Knit. Okay, I'm going to attempt to show you the setup row English style, but I apologize in advance because I'm not at all an English knitter. So if I'm doing something wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to give you the gist. So you still want to move your yarn to the front. So I have the yarn in the front. You're going to slip purlwise. And then the way that I take care of this with the yarn in front but still knitting is I'm going to go ahead and insert my needle as if to purl, or sorry, as if to knit, but then I'm going to wrap from the front around, again, not an English knitter, around the tip, and then pull through. So I've still got the same thing here where I've got my slipped stitch, basically a yarn over, and then the stitch I knit. So that's what we're creating is we're going slipped stitch with a yarn in front, a yarn over that came from the front, and then a knit stitch. So I'll try that one more time. Apologies again. I'm going to move the yarn to the front. I'm going to slip purlwise. Then I'm going to go in as if to knit. Still with the yarn in the front. This is coming from the front. Wrap. Pull through. So then slipped stitch, yarn over from the front, knit stitch. And now I'm going to make it less painful to watch and go back to Continental just to finish this up. Okay, so yarn in front, slip stitch, pin the yarn to your right hand needle and knit. Yarn in front, slip as if to purl, pinch the yarn in front, knit. Yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch the yarn here, knit, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch the working yarn on this side, knit, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch that working yarn over here, knit, yarn in front, slip purlwise, hold that yarn out front, and knit. Okay, so that's the setup row. We have added basically a yarn over to every one of the stitches. Okay, so now we're going to start the first row of the actual brioche. Okay, so that's the setup row. You're only going to do that one time, and then you just repeat this brioche pattern that we're about to go over until you're done. It's going to be the same thing over and over. So if you look at the back, we've got purl bumps and kind of just loops. So you'll see here you've got purl bump, 2 loops, purl bump, 2 loops. Occasionally they make this nice X, but not always. Depends on how it got lined up. But I want you to focus on the purl bumps. So again, I'm not good with the terminology that Brioche uses, so I'm not going to use it. Instead, going to try to use knitting terminology that we're all well aware of. Okay, so again, the rule of Brioche is you want your yarn in the front. Okay, so we have our yarn in the front. Again, I'll go over Continental first and then try to show you English. So yarn in front, just like before, you're going to slip. And then with the working yarn, I'm going to pinch it to the right hand needle again. And then instead of just knit, we're just going to knit 2 together. Okay, so then I've got on the needle the slipped purlwise stitch, a yarn over that's come from the front, and a knit 2 together, which is the yarn over and a knit stitch that we made on the other side. Okay, so again, move the yarn to the front, slip purlwise. Again, the regular instructions call for yarn over this way. I find it, since the yarn is already in the front, I could just kind of pull it and pinch it to my needle. Then I'm going to go and work these 2 stitches as if they're a regular knit 2 together. Okay, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch working yarn to the right hand needle, knit 2 together. Okay, so again, if you want to read the knitting, you'll be looking for the one with the purl bump, and that's the one you're going to slip. And then the 2 loops are the ones that you're going to knit together. So that also helps you keep track if you lose your way or if you get confused about which motion you're supposed to be doing at the time. So get yarn to the front, slip purlwise, pinch the yarn to the right hand needle, knit 2 together. One more time with continental, yarn to the front, slip purlwise, pinch the yarn to the right hand needle, knit 2 together. Now when I say that your yarn remains in front, I don't want you to take that literally, like it doesn't remain in the front the entire time. When you go to knit, your yarn will go to the back because that's how you create a knit stitch. But it's at the slip part. You put the yarn in front and you're going to slip purlwise. And then instead of going right to the back where you're going to knit 2 together, you want the yarn in front to go to the back. So, I mean, it is basically a yarn over, but if you don't even want to think about it as a yarn over, you don't have to, because you could just kind of hold it there and you're going from the front to the back and then knit 2 together. So at this point your yarn does end up in the back. You're just going to move it back to the front. I'm going to try to show you English style. Okay, so for English style, all the motions are the same, except I'm going to look way more fiddly doing it. Okay. So, yarn to the front, slip purlwise, yarn is in the front, and I'm going to slip the right hand needle through the 2 loops as if to knit, and then I'm going to wrap the right needle and pull through. So I've got my slipped stitch, my yarn over from the front, and my knit 2 together. You can see my 2 loops there. Okay, so move the yarn to the front, slip purlwise with the yarn in front, enter the needle as if to knit 2 together from the front, wrap the needle, oops, pull through, slip stitch, yarn over, knit 2 together, move the yarn to the front, slip purlwise, keep the yarn in front, as if to knit 2 together, wrap, English knitting, I am not good at it. Move the yarn to the front, slip purlwise, with the yarn in front, go to knit 2 together, wrap, pull through, and then I have a few stitches left. I'm going to finish continental. Sorry guys. Alright, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch your yarn over here in front, knit 2 together, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch that yarn over here, knit 2 together, And again, this pattern just repeats. So if you flip over to go the other direction, you're going to do the same exact thing. So we're going to have the yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch the yarn, knit two together. Yarn in front, slip purlwise, pinch the yarn, knit two together. And again, so if you look closely, you can tell your purl bumps you're going to slip, two loops, knit two together, yarn in front, except after you've done a knit stitch, it will be in back, move it back to the front. So that is how I know how to do brioche. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll try to clarify. Thanks.